put down your bud and go to Bud's Garage.
Listen, people, to what I'm saying to you.
It looks all right. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay, I guess.
Strings are kind of tacky.
Yeah, it looks like a octopus or something on top there.
Yeah, let's try this. Take this, Captain Kirk.
Oh no, it's under attack. Into hyperspace.
Hi, I'm Pat, and this is Mark, and this is Dave, and this is Bud's Garage. And to start the show off tonight, we're going right into home movie time.
Look! A giant turkey! Go away!
Look! He's getting a village! Ah!
Run, Todd, run!
Wait! What's he gonna do? Look! Oh no! Gonna kill the garage!
What is it?
He's gonna step on me now! Wait! Ah! Help! It's a big turkey! I gotta get out of here! Ah! Ouch! Oh my leg! Oh! He's gonna, oh!
Oh, look, he wants to hurt the church. He wants to hurt the churches. He couldn't, thanks. He wouldn't. He wouldn't hurt the churches. Oh. Oh no, there it goes. There goes the Luther, there goes the Methodist, there goes the Charismatics. Ah.
All right, guys. He's gone far enough. It's time we stopped him.
Coming into our radar now. Let me go!
Okay, drop the bombs.
That was a good one. If you want to do a home movie to send to us to show here on Bud's Garage, the only thing you got to remember is you can do it on VHS tape, you can do it on Kodak movie film, and we would really like it if you kept it 2 minutes or less, okay? Send it to the address on the screen, and we'll see what we can do. Tonight, I was thinking been thinking a lot about science fiction, and especially I was thinking about things like how come Star Trek, you know, was on a long time ago, and then it got canceled, and then it showed reruns, and now they made a new Star Trek called Star Trek Next Generation. I got a friend named Winky Pratney, and he did a lot of studying on science fiction. And so we went up to New Jersey and we interviewed him.
Why did Star Trek come back is a good question. There, you know, for a long time, this is a program, this is a series that went off the air and came back with a much larger audience than when it left. It's the only series in television history that's ever happened. That hunger for heroes, the hunger for people who believe in something strongly enough to die for it, who will keep their word, is a hunger of our times. And secondly, Francis Schaeffer said, technology is modern man's Holy Spirit. And if that be true, then science fiction is modern man's prophecy. And I think today we look in the field of science fiction, not only for exploring social dilemmas that people run into, but we look in science fiction for answers for our future. And I think the reason why so many people are interested in science fiction and in fantasy is it is the last frontier of man. It is the frontier of the imagination and the human spirit. And it's in science fiction that those things are best reflected. And when people without a sense of cosmic purpose and destiny in their lives are looking for answers, then science fiction becomes the vehicle that best expresses those answers.
I've been reading science fiction most of my life. It's something I really like. I've always appreciated it. A character like Luke Skywalker, I think he's real fascinating because here's a young guy who's working on a farm and he thinks that's all he is a farm boy. But really, he don't know it, but he's sort of a Jedi Knight in waiting. He's going to be something that, he's going to be the center of what happens in the universe, and that the whole destiny of the universe is going to hinge on him. That's not so far-fetched if you read the Bible. I think the Bible says that there's a lot of Jedi Knights in waiting, ready to participate in this ultimate battle between good and evil.
I'm supposed to be in Wisconsin, you know, I mean, I'm in the wrong state.
We went through 3 time warps on the way here. 3. We was in Africa at one point, wasn't it, right?
Yeah,
And then what?
then we went over through, and we were in Wildwood, New Jersey.
2 blocks from here, we were almost here. And then
we were
in
almost here, and we thought, well, great, we're here, and then it happened.
And we were in Wildwood. See, since the time warp started happening on the turnpike, they've been talking about mapping them out, you know.
But they change so often.
But they change so often.
Well, that's the thing. That's the whole thing with the Earth-Space Continuum construction crew always out there.
that's
It's just a mess.
That's why people talk real slow to sort of fill in the gaps.
Well, right, you know.
They don't really want to notice when they can't move, when they're sort of stuck in space and time. And
or if you're in a
makes them
loop,
nervous.
things get really silly.
I hate that. I hate that.
See,
I got
people
caught.
are always into covering
Especially if
things
it's
up
like through a
that.
toll booth and you keep going through.
And then you run out of money, and that's it, and you're stuck in another dimension. I had a, yeah, you want out of this dimension, 20 credits, you know, and then you ain't even got your credit stick with you.
Total Recall deals much more with, you know, what is there identifiably about a sensory experience that tells us something about our humanity. I mean, that film deals with, you know, planting memories inside people's minds, and the whole idea of, you know, going outside of the body, and in the film, and the guy lives out his fantasy of being a hero. And I guess the film's subtext or question is, you know, if we can even do this, you know, change perceived reality for an individual, is there anything in the sensory experience or how we imagine ourselves that could be classified as identifiably or authentically human? Or do we lose our authentic humanity through going into a process like that?
You know, this whole little bit right down here, I just did something as simple as hooking up a piece of a little handheld video game to these little blood vessels that I dug in there with a little flexible shaft tool, and that's probably going to be the military's next innovation, is cyborgs, or people that are hooked up to computer hardware to thereby make them a little more easy to control and give them other than human qualities. So I could see that as being the military's next step, and it seems as how they're the one that usually forces leadership in technical innovation. Then it'll probably be connected with the military.
The film RoboCop, for example. But what I'm saying happens in that film is that everybody except for the robot character is somehow being affected by the dominant values of the age, and they are becoming dehumanized. Whereas the only truly authentic human character in that film was a half-dead policeman who'd been reassembled with mechanical parts. Was making a very strong statement about, you know, what can we say about authentic versus inauthentic humanity. And in order to make his point, the only authentic human being in the film, or the person who had the potential for authenticity, was someone who was like a half-dead cop put back together with mechanical parts.
Tokyo. Winter. She woke up in a trash dump. Her cheap new aluminum legs caused her hip joints to ache. But she smiled when she saw how nice they looked in the morning sun. Behind all the cosmetic surgery and prosthetics, she was somewhere around 98 years old. You can't trick death forever. She had never thought much about where she would die. I guess a Tokyo trash dump will do. She had joined the Combine on the morning of her 16th birthday, the morning she woke up by the ashes of the fire where she had burned her cheerleader's uniform. She had hunted and killed for the Combine for most of her life, submitting to all the alterations that made her a more efficient employee. When the Combine can't use you anymore, they stop paying for surgery. Then you become spare parts for the thumb runners' flea markets. She thought about cheating them by stripping the chips from her legs. No, I guess not. Any regrets? Yeah, there was this one man I was hunting. If I could have found that guy, I would have washed his feet with my tears.
I just finished reading a story about people who use computers, and they don't use keyboards, but they have sockets implanted in their skulls, and they can hook the computer directly into their head. Not only their computers, but their cars and their airplanes and their weapon systems. And they have computer chips implanted at the base of their necks. There's a kind of science fiction that it's been getting a lot of attention lately, and it's called cyberpunk. So what is this vision called cyberpunk? Well, from reading it, I would say that it's summed up in terms of in a lot of different visions and a lot of different little images. One of them being high-tech lowlifes is one description that's used in books by William Gibson and Bruce Sterling, who seem to be the leaders of this movement. It's a high-tech society with low-grade people. It's a society where technology has reached ultimate heights, but the street has its own uses for things. Cyberpunk could be described a lot of ways. It's Max Headroom in a world dominated by television. It's Mohawk road warriors killing for a tank of gas. And to some degree, it's even a reanimated human being in a movie called RoboCop. It could be that this is a reaction against some of the utopian dreams of the past. Remember, Marshall McLuhan used to promise us that when all this technology finally reached its highest point, that we would all be gathered together in this great electronic global village. It's sort of like one big happy family. And it could be that the guys who write cyberpunk, maybe they got too realistic of a view. Maybe they understand humans too much. Because what they're showing us is the dark side of the global village. They're showing us the dark side of man's technology and his connecting of people together. So it's sort of Marshall McLuhan's dream of a global village turned into a nightmare. It was a nice dream, though, and we all believed it too. Seems like maybe what the writers of cyberpunk are saying to us is that we should know better than that. Man has a dream that if he can just keep on getting better at what he creates and better at what he does, that sooner or later he's going to get it together. And I think the bad side of that dream is the fact that if you really understand history and really understand human beings, humans have a way of screwing up just about everything. But back to that cyberpunk vision. It's a dark, dismal, depressing world that they're drawing a picture of for us. You take, like the world in Blade Runner, the movie, it was Los Angeles in the future, but it wasn't a bright and happy future. It was a dark future, and the ozone layer had been destroyed, and it rained all the time. I think one of the images in that movie that stuck with me the most was the idea of human flesh that was made in a laboratory, caught in a zipper of a leather jacket. And to me, that sort of sums up cyberpunk. One of the things I think about when I'm reading a cyberpunk book or watching one of the movies, this question keeps going through my mind, and that's, does God exist in this world? This world that, I'm seeing in this book or this movie? Like, can Jesus reach into this world and be real in it? Like when I watched The Road Warrior, what was going through my mind is there a place for Christianity in that world? Like, how would Jesus appear in that wasteland?
Under a flag, they swore a bond, caught under fire.
When Jesus was born, time and space and the whole universe sort of came together at one spot. The way C.S. Lewis said it one time was that there was a time when the whole universe was inside a little stable. And Jesus was God. And he was fully God, and he was fully human, and he was born here on this planet. And he was a little baby, and he grew up. And he was a man like us, and he was also God like his Father. And I believe that is probably one of the most fascinating, most exciting things that's ever happened in this universe. I believe that was the reason that the universe was created, was so that could happen. And I really do think that's the pivot point of all of creation.
There the foundation began.